Alright, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for Ichi, a top 500 tank player. I assume you're a Winston player. Um, yeah, I mean, just based on the fact that like you didn't want to swap Winston or whatever. We're on Winston the whole match, and your teammates wanted you to swap. Um, for starters, I don't think it's really almost ever necessary to swap. I mean, of course, sometimes, especially like if you ever get in like top 50 lobbies or something like that, really high ranked games, sometimes your character pick will start really mattering. Um, this is your top 200 right now, so you can definitely get away with playing Winston into like bad matchups. That being said, I watch like the entirety of like your first round defense. I don't really think there's ever really a reason for you to swap Winston. At least on your first defense, I don't think the character like limited you in what you could have been doing. Especially compared to like the mistakes you made on the character itself, right? For reference, I got pretty high in the top 500. Um, like playing one tricking hog multiple times, and like I have played other tanks, so I'm not like an OTP anymore. But like I got hog into like the top 100-ish range. Prior to his rework, right when he was like, this was like season 5 or 6 or something like that. I don't remember exactly when. Um, yeah, when my point is he was like really bad at the time, so that's why I kind of say like yeah, like hero choice like doesn't make a difference the vast majority of games, right? Um, and I'm not really a big Winston player myself. I don't really enjoy him. So you can completely disregard what I'm going to tell you, but I think that would be a mistake because I have played against like pretty good Winstons, right? In the past. So I have to know all their cooldowns and stuff and like their playstyles and such and whatnot, right? And there's still like a lot of fundamental tank mistakes you're making. Um, I think first and foremost, your cooldown usage needs to be better. In particular, you are using your bubble a lot of times when you don't need to. When you're like literally not getting shot at all, or like you're already playing near natural cover and you just kind of waste it. This is probably like pretty obvious to you. But just in case like anyone else is watching this, or um, just for a reference, right? When you're not taking damage, you shouldn't use bubble, right? Because you just won't have it for the next 12 seconds. And if an opening like presents itself, for example, and Anna's isolated, right, and she uses her cooldowns, now you can't like jump in deep in the back line to punish her for it, right? Because you don't have your bubble, right? If you just jump in without bubble, right, and even if like she's deep, what happens is you'll just explode even if she has no cooldowns because people have really good aim at this rank and they'll notice that you are committing without your cooldowns, right? And you'll just get hard focus and die, right? Um, yeah. And secondly, you're jumping into open space way too much, right? Especially when you don't have bubble, you cannot afford ever to jump in the open, especially playing against like an Ana when she has her cooldowns, because you'll get slept and then you'll either instantly die or lose all your value out of your jump, right? It's just things you cannot be doing on Winston ever. So when you don't have bubble, especially, right, you need to not be jumping in the open, right, in front of the entire enemy team because it makes it really telegraphed and you see like a ton of spam damage when you do this, right, and just explode. Yeah, so secondly, you need to manage your health better. You're taking a lot of unnecessary damage, and you're just kind of like killing your ability to like stay in consistently in these dives, right? Um, Yeah, so obviously you don't want to get poked out because it just ruins your uptime, right? And this is something you can't afford to have happen as you like climb in ranks, right? You get punished for it a lot in this game, but you're just like committing at low HP and just playing in the open, right? And you just kind of get melted a lot of times, right? So if you don't have your armor and you like don't have like high HP and high armor and all your cooldowns, you like can't afford to commit. And those are situations where you have to like play slow and just wait for the enemy team to overextend and try to like let your supports heal you, right? Maybe get a health pack or something. But yeah, it's like you just cannot be wasting HP, especially on Winston, right? Um, thirdly, I think you need to be, generally speaking, paying closer attention to the number situation in these team fights. I know it can kind of get hectic sometimes, right? But when you're down in players, you like did it twice this defense, right? So it's going to probably be a recurring thing in yeah, then subsequent rounds or whatever. And you use primal in like these unwinnable fights when like your entire team's dead a lot of times, right? If it's okay to die, like if your entire team's dead, and just not waste like time staggering yourself and like the extra commitment from your ultimate, right? It's kind of a throw. Yeah, so let's get started. Not saying he, I mean, there's really nothing to do. Right? It's perfectly fine here. You can afford to be playing a bit more aggressively. I know it's kind of a min-max thing. Because your Anna's up here with you and she can tank you, right? You know their Winston uses jump to get up here, so like, and you're also keeping both, or like a DPS and a support occupied right now. So like, she doesn't really have anything else to do except heal you right now. Because you know they pretty much blew all their cooldowns and you're disrupting the two people on their team that can actually like commit on anyone right now. So it's like perfectly fine to trade double damage on these people, right? It forces out more resources from their team for them to like continuously challenge you than it forces out from your own team, which is what I'm trying to make. So here, like this seems like a really small mistake, right? You know this Anna has both her cooldowns because you know you haven't seen her use any of them, and you see you just drop down in the open to contest cart, which is fine that you're contesting cart, but if you get slept here, right, you probably won't die, but it'll force all of your supports or like all your team's attention to keep you alive afterwards, right? Because now you're opening yourself up to getting chased, because like if you get slept and like the Genji and Lucio both turn around for you or whatever, right, and you get naded, you'll like have barely like any HP by the time you jump out, and you're just giving yourself an opportunity to get chased by the enemy team, right? So like this seems like a really small thing, small detail, right? But getting slept here is like potentially fight losing. What you want to do is just literally drop down here where the Anna can't see you at all, right? You really need to get better at respecting Annas, because I can promise you, really good Annas will just hit like every single sleep on you if you give yourself the opportunity to get slept, right? You know, especially like I have to play, especially as like a hog player. I have to play exceedingly carefully around sleep like this, because if I ever do something like this, right? I mean, I don't have mobility to like do this in the first place, but if I ever like wide peek an Anna ever, I'm just gonna get insta killed, right? When I have like no team support, and what happens is you won't get insta killed, but you lose all your HP, and then you jump away and then just die afterwards, and they just like hard dive you, right? Because you have no resources anymore. So like, yeah, it seems like a really small like detail, but it's incredibly important. This is okay here. I don't really think there's a reason to jump away there per se. You're still stopping the Winston from doing anything, right? You're still stopping cart, right? So you're still effectively denying 3 of them the ability to do anything. And if this Genji commits right now, he's just going in 1v4, right? So like, if you see that they're all just sitting main, obviously you know the Anna's still down here, and you saw the Lucio and Winston, you have really no reason to be jumping away, right? This is kind of a waste of a jump, because now this monkey can just dive for free, right? It's fine. Again, with a bubble, you didn't really get any value out of that bubble, right? Like, it seems like, you just blocked a ton of damage, right? But if you literally, instead of playing here, we're just playing here, right, and just jiggle peeking the corner, you wouldn't have needed to use bubble. And now, when like they're trying to step up and trying to dive with their Winston, you'd be able to deny his backline from being able to come in by denying his healing resources from the Ana and being able to zap the people on cart, right? But now you just can't do that because you just wasted your bubble and just did 0 damage with it, right? Okay, again, right? Don't do this. You have no bubble, and you just jumped in the open, right? This is a really bad habit of yours. Again, if this Ana was better, you get slept, and you can actually like die right now. Because they have the echo now. If she hits all of her stickies and just beams you, you're gonna explode. Like, you just cannot ever do that kind of stuff. This is a good opportunity to do this, because Ana just used both her cooldowns regardless, right? I think the bubble there is okay. Ideally, though, you could have greeted that if you didn't use bubble so early. You could have greeted that and potentially seen if you can get on the Ana, because she was like right about here. But I think it's okay. I think she would have been able to kite, especially the Lucio speed. So it's all right. Here, again, don't do this. No bubble. Don't do stuff like this. You see, you just wasted all your resources jumping into their entire team. And looking at the positioning of your team, they can't really help you, right? Like, your Widow's back here, and she has to play far back because they're on, like, dive, right? If she plays here and she misses one headshot, she's going to get a 5-man dove and just insta-die, right? She cannot do that. So, like, you have to know your team's going to be positioning back here to not let the people get on them in like one dive, and just jumping here, you're forcing out all your resources, right? Because you're effectively jumping their entire team, and literally no one can help you. Because if they play like where your Torb is, I mean, it's fine by him. If the rest of your team plays with your Torb, they're like very vulnerable to getting countered, right? And now you're just giving them the ability to dive in because you just wasted like all your shield, or sorry, all your armor by accomplishing absolutely nothing. Again, no real reason to bubble. You were getting shot, I don't know by who, but you could have just jumped out to the end, right? And I'll mention that you felt the need to use bubble there because you just randomly jumped high ground into 5 players, right? So yeah, just don't do stuff like that. Here, don't do this. Don't do this. You see the Winston dive in, you cannot do enough damage to get rid of him, right? This right here is what you want to be stopping, right? Either these people right here from getting on your backline, right? They probably went under, or you want to be stopping the Ana and the whatever Echo from being able to support the divers, right? And just like yeah, denying them the ability to like get consistently healed, right? Yeah, so like this is like a compounded issue or compounded mistake, right? Where you made the mistake like, I don't know, like 10, 15 seconds ago of diving here for no reason, wasting all your resources and just letting these people rotate for free because you're too preoccupied with trying to survive rather than like scouting to see where they're rotating to like get onto your backline, right? Yeah, but it's still salvageable here if you don't turn for the Winston, but turning for the Winston just means that he's gonna live, like, so you literally do 0 damage to him. I mean, this is Winston. If you're focusing the tank, right, like, you're just never gonna accomplish anything unless you're, like, hard trolling 1v5 in your team across the map, right? What you want to be doing instead, like I said, either like stopping them, like I said originally, or like stopping Card, right? Doing something so these people can't take all these angles on your team and just like wipe your team for free, right? What like you both tanks effectively did nothing, but he got more value than you did just simply by jumping in and making you turn for him. Yeah, and like denying your value from your ability to like contest the Ana or like the DPS, something like that. And so. Yeah, no real reason to bubble. You shouldn't be like fighting this right now anyways, because you're literally your entire team's dead. Just jump away, right? Because this is just completely ruining your ability to like recontest without bubble. It's not the end of the world because you have to wait for your team to come back anyways. But like, you just kind of lose your ability to catch people if they overextend without bubble. This is okay. Again, this Ana has both her cooldowns, and I will note here, you're very low on HP, right? The correct play is to just let your Ana heal you, or just not jump main, right? Like, see, you just jumped in the middle of the entire team. I mean, fortunately, you do have bubble now, but you're at half HP, and your team has to like still take angles, right? Based on like the timing of the fight, you knew like at least 2 people are behind you up top. Unfortunately, your Ana didn't go top. Yeah, but you should just know based on the timing of this fight that like they're gonna already be set up on all these angles because like you guys are the ones peeking into that. And this Ana should have both her cooldowns. Yeah, so she just like I'm a little hesitant to rewind. The replay viewer is still having issues, but again, you could have gotten slept before you put down your bubble and you just would have gotten this kill. Yeah, you see you use both her cooldowns, it's good. I would say like your distraction helped kill the Winston, right? But even if you were a bit more patient, the Winston dies anyways, right? Because your Torb is probably the one that did most like the damage on him just by peeking this angle and just damage dumping him, right? And he does this regardless if you jump in or not, right? Because the Genji was already low and he can't keep holding the angle because he was low, right? So you just have to wait to get healed before you commit on stuff like that. It's okay. Again, like no real reason to bubble. Because you bubble now, you just can't keep chasing them. They, like literally no one was shooting you when you jumped up there. And now because you don't have bubble, you can't keep here, it seems really small, but like don't keep opening the angle. Literally just stand here, right? The problem with this is now if your Ana rotates like to where your Torb is and you keep like playing out here, it's gonna make her harder for you. I mean, it'll be okay. I was thinking more so if she stayed up like high ground, which is like would be dumb from her. She wouldn't have the angle. Unfortunately, I don't really think the Nano is that good. What the Ana should be doing is like nanoing whoever the dive target is. She was just too close to begin with, right? She overextended. That wasn't on you. Like the Nano and the Ana death wasn't really on you. Except for the fact that you maybe had the opportunity to kill the Genji earlier if you didn't waste a bubble on your initial dive, right? But the main problem here, it's like sometimes, you know, you lose fights to ults. It's not the end of the world. The main problem here is that you pop Primal. One, hopefully this does not crash. Okay, yeah, unfortunately it didn't. You pop Primal 1 when 2 of your teammates were already dead. You still were fairly healthy, right? You're still like 250 HP with Nano, so you're effectively still 500 HP, and you just don't get all the value that Primal gives you from like, you know, refilling your health. You see, this is unwinnable. Like even if you kill the Genji here, it's just too late. Like this random team was too close, unfortunately. Here, like you see the Winstons in this doorway and you want to try for touch, what you should be doing now is either jumping here, you know, going anywhere that's the Winston isn't holding off, right? Like you're just never going to be able to get through the primaling Winston, literally because he's going to permanently knock you away, right? Like you see, you literally can't do anything because you're trying to force this doorway. Honestly, if you go point here, you probably just get insta-killed anyways. Yeah, but since your Brig popped a rally, I don't think it's really good to rally. You might as well keep it smooth, I guess. It's fine. Yup, it's fine here. Here, you really don't want to be chasing this, right? And I'm not a fan of the bubble. I say you don't want to be chasing this because they're going to get their spawners like very soon, right? Again, no one was shooting there, waste of a bubble. I know I already said that, but like here, this pathing isn't good, right? You just jump into open space, no bubble, and you're already kind of like lost half your armor. So like you're just gonna explode. Yeah, this is what you don't want to have happen. This is why jumping in the open or ever like lingering in the open is a bad idea. What you should have done instead is like come down here, right? Not jump in the open. Once you notice you can't catch the Lucio or whatever, just like play up here or whatever, drop down and like walk this way and jump out this way just so you have more cover, you know, something along those lines, instead of jumping in the open and just getting blown up by the side. See how like dangerous that is? Yeah. I mean, obviously yeah, you can because you just die, so. It's not the end of the world, they come in and ult for it, so. You see they're all looking at this doorway, just go to a different doorway, right? Like you have better cover if you go lower. Literally just walk lower and then like, yeah. I mean, you have better cover here, right? See? They can't see you until like you're like here, and you can get a really close jump on to this Echo, for example, like if you see she uses her flight, or just to force her away off the angle, without taking so much poke. Like you see her just getting poked so much, just trying to force the same doorway open. Yeah. And just rotate somewhere else. Definitely a little risky. It's okay, your team has your back. Just jumping main, risky, right? Again, don't do this, right? You know the Echo has her stickies. Her stickies on a really short cooldown. You just jump main again, right, in the open with no bubble. What you should be doing instead, when your team's going in, is like, for example, jumping up here to catch off their retreat and force them to burn more cooldowns to get into you. Like if this Echo wants to consistently hit you, now she has to burn her fly and stickies. Or I was on the floor, if you just jump right into her, she's just gonna stick you and beam you, and you're just gonna like instantly die regardless, right? Right. It's okay, you do good distraction, pretty good like cleave damage to them, but the problem is this is a completely avoidable death, right? And now they're gonna be able to take positioning because you're not in position to deny it, right? I mean, literally just because you're dead.
My ultimate is charging.
I would say, right, because you die there, I mean, your team shouldn't be playing so aggressively, but because you die there, you can't deny any of their rotations, right? And there's already all over the map, and there's nothing you could have done about it, right? Because you're just gonna troll by jumping in the open. Again, right? Bad primal, your entire team's dead, right? Just let it go. I don't know if you're calling for these nanos. I don't really like these nanos because, right, you're not forcing out any cooldowns beforehand, and like you don't know where these people are positioned, right? I don't know if you're like duoed with your Ana or whatever, you're calming with her. But especially like they also have Nano Blade or not Nano Blade anymore, but they have Blade. And Ana probably wants to be like saving her Nano for the Blade target the vast majority of the time, right? Or like nanoing someone who's already in position to do something. I just don't like these like nanos out of the blue, right? Because like it kind of gets no value because they just are already all over the place and you can't deny anything, right? You're not in position to do anything with the nanos. I mean, this isn't really on you unless you're calling them. Yeah, I just explanation why I don't like them. That fight was just really hard to do anything, right? Just because you died the previous fight, right? I'm not going to spend too much time on it, except to say that I don't really like the nano, right? You just wouldn't have been in that position if you didn't kind of troll in these previous fights. Here, don't jump this guy, right? I mean, I guess he has like no real reason to back off the high ground from you alone. Just literally poke, wait for someone else to commit, and then jump them, for example, right? And if he can just continue playing high ground and just do a ton of damage to you and just get valuable cooldown trades, right? When you're fighting the tank as Winston, you're probably making a mistake. It's just, I'll say that just because, like, every other tank does way more DPS than you do, right? So if, like, he literally just holds his ground, and they also have better sustain, right? So if this guy literally just holds his ground and keeps shooting your head, you're just gonna, like, force out all your resources from your Ana to keep you alive. And that, in turn, allows people to take angles because it allows the enemy team to take angles, right? Because now your DPS can't get consistently healed, and your Ana can no longer shoot, right? So like the Kiri only has to like heal the hazard every so often because he's way tankier than you and does way more DPS, but the Ana has to like hard pocket you. So here you should be able to hear that the echo is going above, right? Maybe you should be jumping up to intercept this echo, right? Because she doesn't have fly. So if she makes a mistake of landing over here, she's very killable, right? I mean, probably not going to happen because your whatever is already looking at the angle. But it's kind of more valuable than like contesting cart right now. No one's here. Again, no real reason to jump in the open, right? You see like how I might hopefully this doesn't crash it out again. Let me show you from his perspective, just, like show you what this jumps. Look how like open you made yourself, even though he didn't really shoot you that much. I don't really know who shot you that for all that damage. But the point is you got blown up literally because you just jumped like straight up in the air and exposed yourself for 2 seconds for no reason. When alternatively, you literally could have sat here, done nothing, and if this guy overextends, you just zap him, right? Stall the cart, right? Stop the Kiri from committing with the people that are going in right now. You know, stop cart and also like occupy the hazard right now if he wants to try to push cart. And in this situation, it's fine to do that because, right, the Kiri's with them. You're effectively like stalling 2 people for like the price of 1, which is very valuable, especially when one of them's a tank, right? Yeah, but instead of like doing that, you just waste all your cooldowns, right? You just do this jump, eat a ton of damage, get your bubble forced out. Whereas if you're literally just sitting here, you'd be doing the exact same thing. Like this guy is not killable for you anyways because he can just hold block and he's getting tanked by the Kiri, right? If people are getting healed, generally speaking, you just can't kill them. So you shouldn't keep doing cooldowns. No real reason to go back for the Genji. Like you're Ana hits to sleep. I guess maybe you're like jumping back just to not get shot. But again, you jumped in open space, right? I'm not gonna rewind. I'm sure you can remember you jumped like right here, and you didn't take cover at all. So if your intent was to go back so you didn't get blown up by the hazard or whatever, you should probably like jumped to like better LOS yourself, like trying your best to like land over here or something like that, or even like trying to land far left. Yeah. It's good. Nice. You can definitely just farm your ult here a bit, right? Okay. You don't know they made the Ana swap, but I'm sure you can see that was incredibly dangerous, right? This Ana's like a champion sleep dart misser. I mean, it was kind of a tough shot for her there, but I'm sure you can see how dangerous that is. Just be careful in general, like peeking spawns, especially like obviously after they all die. Just be hitting tab like constantly. Like when people die, I'm like literally just holding down my tab button to see if people swap, right? Because they could also just like make a random swap to hog, and you just like peek that spawn, get hooked, and just get killed by the team, right? Something to keep in mind, right? Or like the Ana actually hits a sleep dart, and they also swap to like, I don't know, Reaper or something like that, and use Exploder. They hit the sleep dot and they're now on Zen for whatever reason. You just like, there's a billion different ways for you just explode them, right? I don't think it's necessary to jump away that early because you already had cover behind the cart, right? This is okay, right? You're also denying that angle here, but I don't think you're like, I obviously don't want to be face tanking the queen too much. Right, you see, you jump in right in the open. I'm not going to rewind again, and it makes it yourself very easy to get slept, right? You see, you get slept, and like you're not going to die here because you're nanoed, but now your entire nano's gone, right? You burned your bubble early. Honestly, I didn't even remember what you used it on, but it wasn't necessary. And now you also just jump straight in the open, but you already know they're going to be running back. So why, instead of jumping in the open, why not just like jump, for example, like over here where you have cover and you can stop them from running away, right? And sandwich them between your team, right? You're like functionally indestructible when you're nanoed, and you almost have primal, right? Oh, I guess you actually have it already right now, right? So like there's literally no reason to telegraph your intentions so much, right? And just allow them to run away, right? You see, like you literally get slept, you boot, and now you can't. But even if you like the Ana hits asleep when you're like aiming your jump to like, for example, this cover here, like you still get slept behind cover, right? So you're not going to eat a ton of damage, right? And if they decide to keep walking back, now you're here to literally just like hold still and just like stop them from doing so, right? So just something to keep in mind. And like now they're just kind of in a terrible position if you do that to begin with, because they're sandwiched between. If they move forward, they're just in the sight lines of your Torb and Ashe. If they move back, they're just gonna get zapped by you, right? So it would just been a way better jump. I don't hate this. This is fine. You're right. I know you're trying to like maybe like capitalize on the Genji. That's kind of unfortunate timing. Sorry, honestly. This is good. Yep. Good. I'm not saying anything. There's really nothing to say. I mean, this is a cleanup, right? Pretty good. So. Here, I'd be considering setting up on top, right? Like you're just by setting up top, you know, they've come up here like literally every time, and you've seen them like stage over here a ton of times, right? If you just sit here, you just completely deny the ability for the Genji to get in for clean, right? And playing up here, right? They can also just poke you out really easily because your team can't safely like peek this corridor right here, right, to like actually pressure them, and all they can do safely is heal you, right? But if the queen hits a knife or something and you get slapped and naded, you're just like potentially dead. Maybe not because you don't have the echo anymore, but there is a lot of like risk. I wouldn't say a ton, but there's some risk playing up here, but there's pretty much none up here, right? If you play up here, you create an angle for your team by denying this and like allowing yourself to jump the back line if they commit. And your team doesn't have to like peek the enemy team to help you. The enemy team has to peek your team to like do something, right? So just something to keep in mind in the future. I don't think this is like a troll by any stretch of the imagination, but you just definitely don't want to get poked down as much, right? You can see like you're hitting all your shots, but DPS just do more damage to you than you, right? So they're just kind of like getting more value by like wasting all your armor. So you can't keep on the back line, right? See, you have no armor here, right? Just because of your positioning. Yeah, this is kind of what you don't want to have happen. Get knifed by their queen. Unfortunate, right? I think the primary mistake, I actually didn't even remember that happened. And this, in this like last fight, right? But I'm sure you can imagine, like if you didn't take so much poke damage, right? Manage your HP better, and like didn't have all your cooldowns forced out because you weren't managing your HP, you would have actually been able to punish this Ana and just like turn the fight. Because also she has nano, right? So if you deny the nano, you just automatically win this fight, right? This is like kind of the problem in tank. There's a lot of like micro decisions you make, where like there's compounding problems, right? Like do one wrong thing early on, like positionally, or eating too much damage, and it just allows the enemy team to walk forward because all your resources have been drained too early. Here, you really don't need to be contesting cart right now, right? Like you have a lot of time until like full caps here. You just don't want to be fighting the queen when you're down in Torb, right? Like you just want to be waiting to see if someone overextends. This is good. Yep, just keep zapping the Ana. Don't get healer. No real reason to jump, in my opinion. Just because she's too close. The angle is really awkward, right? And you try to do it for the extra yes. All you have to do is not necessarily kill the Ana. You just have to constantly force her to reposition, just because your zap damage will kill her eventually, right? Like the Lucio's dead already, so she can't get healed anyways, right? So like kind of by jumping there, like maybe you're just insta-killer, right, with the burst, but at the same time, if you mess up, you just let her stay alive longer anyways, right? So I'm just gonna speed forward and do this. I would normally fast forward. And again, I actually didn't watch attack, so maybe the Winston pick is more of a problem on attack, which I kind of doubt, but it's possible. Yeah, so I hope this has been useful so far, right?
Science means going where outcomes are uncertain, but I am certain that we're going to have a great time.
Okay, so here we are. Okay, nice. I guess maybe I should have paid more attention. Maybe saw the Tracer come over here, but I think it's okay to clear this because sometimes you'll have like Reapers or something hiding over here too. I guess you accidentally dropped. Unfortunate. I say accidentally because you probably don't want to be giving up this positioning, right? Like if you literally just stand here, you can get healed, you can zap the Tracer, and no one else on their team can shoot you consistently, right? Like the Genji has to like continuously like jump in the open and expose himself, which is really dangerous for him, right? If he gets slept, he just dies. You can just continuously fight this Tracer, right? Like if you can force a 1v1 on anyone that's not the tank, it's almost always in your favor as tank, right? Just because your sustains is way better. You can force out more cooldowns that way. This is okay, right? Yep, you see this guy commit, this is fine. Yeah, no real reason to bubble, right? No one's shooting you. That's okay, it happens sometimes. Don't peek right now, just wait, right? You can intermittently like poke with your right click, right? I think a lot of times, I didn't even notice, like it didn't come up on defense enough. You're just kind of dropping down a lot of times for no reason, but you can literally just like stand here and take 0 damage, right? Maybe not literally 0 because your hitbox is so wide, but you'll take so much less damage, and you're just like not consistently wasting your cooldowns just to get back up here because you're dropping for no reason. Say small detail, right? If you just literally played on this side of the cart, you wouldn't have needed to waste your jump to get away from them. But it's okay to push cart, right? You just see you're forcing all of them on the floor. Yeah, this is a good opportunity to go top. Yeah, no real reason to bubble, right? As you can see, because you're bubbling so early without like even scouting what's up here. First of all, like you saw 3 of them were on the floor, right? So like you know at most 2 people are going to be up here, and you know their damage lineup besides their hazards pretty low. So you shouldn't be like instantly bubbling these things, right? Because you're just not allowed to continue diving further in because you're just wasting your bubbles, really, right? You're probably getting sick of hearing it, but it's like a recurring thing, right? damage pressure on the Fury is going to die. Good. Nice. You see when you're not shooting the hazard, you're really ignoring the guy. When you're getting a lot of you should do your best to stay on as much as It's fine. You see, because you're not jumping main, I'm sure you know this, but like you just had this horrible habit on defense of continually jumping main in the open. But you see, you just jump main, or don't jump main now, and you take like 0 damage, right? And now you're forcing all their cooldowns, right, just to try to contest you. Good. I wouldn't, against the Kiri, I wouldn't jump, right? Like, the extra DPS isn't going to help you kill her anytime soon because she's in beat, right? And you're just not allowing yourself the opportunity to jump after her when she uses her teleport, right? You know she has her teleport, so if she just continuously, like, tanks all your damage and never teleports, she's going to be unkillable. This is fine here. Okay, it happens sometimes, right? Team died. I think you did okay that fight. A lot of things. No, it's. I won't say anything. Yeah, you did all right. It's good. Get me a bit faster. It's a little like right here. I wouldn't be going in here, right? Because it's really low. Again, right? You're down 1. And these people are really far away from your team. Risky. I think that one was okay, but I just know in the future that your team was not in position to help you follow up, right? You went in really far, and you knew your team was like fighting high ground, right? So again, don't jump when you're that low HP. You see, you're forcing out all your team's resources because you jumped with really low HP. And you see like what happened. See, because you jumped the Kiri early when she's like in cover and she can't get like shot by anyone else in your team, and she like can teleport away because you didn't see her use teleport. You're just forcing out all your resources from your Kiri to keep you alive. And I will say I don't think you had bubble either, right? I wasn't even paying attention to that. You see, you force out all your resources from Kiri and give the enemy tracer the ability to pulse bomb you because you jumped like that. Hopefully team just dies fast here. The lips. Yeah, it's staggered. For reference, I also don't think the Winston picks the problem, right? Here again, right? You just waste your bubble for no reason. Literally, just don't peek. Your entire team's dead. Don't peek. Just wait.
Setting up the welcome mat.
Okay, this is fine. Slapping you to her. That's fine. Honestly, I think ideally you'd be chasing these kills, but I understand you don't want your. I wouldn't trust my team. I think at this point it's okay before just saying guard please turret. I think it's fine. Jump off guard. It's fine here. I wouldn't even be dropping on this guy. Like, you're never gonna kill him this Winston. If you're like, my point is, yeah, like he's overextended because his team's not with him. But like you doing what 70 damage per second to him isn't like really realistically gonna help your team kill him, right? Like 90% of the damage on that hazard came from your Echo and Lucio, right? And maybe your Kiri hit a few headshots too, right? Like if he starts blocking, you literally do like, I don't know, like a 15 damage per second to him, so like it's just inconsequential. Again, right? Use bubble too early. You could have kept greeting that a bit more. It's risky because the entire team's above you, so I kind of get it. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Yeah, you probably should have just gotten out since you know the entire enemy team's above you. You just don't want to fight that, right? Because if they drop on you and wall you off, you're just gonna die. You gotta super scores. I was too focused there. I was just too focused on the bubble usage, right? Because I said that was a problem for you to notice like the big picture thing. Yeah, but the problem with like the bubble usage there is just like you just could have greeted that more because you're full HP, right? Like you can just keep walking into her, and once you start getting low on armor or whatever, or you like have a better angle on her, and then you bubble, right? Like if you bubble here, she has nowhere to hide. But like if you bubble here, you can't keep chasing in this room anymore because the bubble ends right here, right? And if she just keeps backing away into like cover, you just can't like interact with her anymore, right? Without like farming her real. I would do this right. You just hear primal. You're just gonna get lit up, and they're just gonna heal themselves, right? The hazard's occupying your entire team, and you just walk into 5, right? And get blown up for it, right? They have all their cooldowns, and you peek their entire team instead of letting them peek you, right? Like the difference between you sitting here and letting the hazard go on your back line and just sapping and denying the enemy team from like following on or following the hazard in because you're positionally like posed to take 0 damage by sitting here and just walking into 5 players is massive, right? Like you can see you just walk, or sorry, 4 players, not really that important, but I'm sure you get the picture. But like literally you sit here and you force them to peek you because you're already in a good position to deny them the ability to follow their hazard, right? Because if they keep going this way, they get zapped. If they go on low ground, you just drop on them and zap them, right? If they like come up high, you have the ability to like jump up high ground, like deny them that way. It's night and day, right? You just take no damage by doing the thing I told you to do, right? It's a good thing your Kiri comes in, helps, right? It's honestly insanely lucky you lived there. I will say, like, it didn't happen this fight, but in the future, when you force your Kiri to teleport in like that, you leave your backline exposed without heals to, like, if the hazard's, like, on someone, right? Because hazard's, like, really good to, like, almost one-shot. Again, bubble too early, right? You're still getting healed by your Kiri, and, like, she's already in position to run away, right? Like, she was, like, barely sitting behind this doorway, and you jump in, booped her away. So, like, you see, like, your bubble is not giving you any additional LOS when you play it this early, right? Like, bubbling here does nothing for you when you can literally just take cover. Like, I said this very early on in the first point, but it's just a recurring problem, right? Which is why I'm, like, trying to hammer this in to make it, and, like, incredibly, this is incredibly important. Again, too early, right? Like, you see you're not affording yourself any additional, like, damage pressure on the Sojourn. Like, I guess, yeah, it stops, like, the rail from going in, but, like, if you walk here and just, like, continually play cover and continuously zapper, you accomplish the exact same thing, right? And if you're worried about, like, her railing your team without bubble, then just, you know, walk this way and put it right here. So at the very least, like, she has literally no angle, right? Like, if she really wanted to right now, she could, like, slide in through here and start shooting your back line. Or just peek out here, right, and start shooting people that are maybe positioned like where her tracer is, right? If she really, again, this is probably like really dumb to her, but just your presence here denies her the ability to peek, right? Like the bubble doesn't. Don't look at the Doomfist, right? You see you're focusing on the tank at all, and it allows the enemy team to take all this positioning, right? I'm not even paying attention to Sojourn, right? But I don't even know where she went. But, like the problem is you don't either, right? Like you're giving her the ability to rotate away, and instead of like denying the angle from the Sojourn, right? Like you're forcing your Echo to do it. When in reality you should be kind of the one like denying the ability of the Sojourn to peek right now instead of focusing on the tank. You know, maybe not necessarily the Sojourn, but focus literally on anyone except the tank, and maybe you get like extra damage on Lucio so he can't beat. Extra damage on the Sojourn so she can't keep peeking, you know, something like that. Extra damage on the Fury, right? You see, you're zapping the tank and literally nothing's happening. Just no damage. You see, like every single team fight where you focus the tank has like not gone well at all. Right? You're just losing the resource trade. Because Winston is not designed to like ever fight the tank.
Hello there. Let's get the payload moving.
Again, bubble too early, right? Lucio boop kind of messes you up, but you weren't taking damage pressure, right? Like you did kind of like the hard part, and you saw earlier the Sojourn didn't have rail, right? So like there's no burst you have to worry about right now. You saw the Sojourn and Lucio were up here earlier, so what you should be really doing is just like doing a preemptive jump. You don't even necessarily need to jump straight up here. You can just be diving up here and just like walking up here, right? this is another opportunity. That way, like when you get booped, you don't also fly all the way back on the floor. And like when you bubble that early, you also like set yourself up just to get booped away, right? Now you can't, you can't stay up there because you don't have bubble, right? Yeah, don't play cart. You're already doing a decent job of like occupying the circle. It's okay. Like obviously your DPS helps, but it's like almost totally inconsequential tank trade.
I'm with you.
Alternatively, right, another mistake you were making against that Sojourn is you kept like re-engaging at the same angle, right? Kind of like the same mistake you made on the first point defense against that Winston primal, right? If you want to touch point, you need to like go somewhere else where someone isn't, right? It's like it's like almost like stupid and self-explanatory, but like yeah, it's just a habit you have, right? Again, right, like you can see he's just like doing way more damage to you than you are to him, right? Like it looks like you're doing damage to him, but it's actually because your Torb turret and the Torb itself and your Kiri are all shooting the Doom, and that's what's like making him take all that damage, right? Yeah, so like he can literally just sit there all game, and because you take all that damage pressure, you see like you're forcing your Kiri to heal your top. Again, I don't like jumping main, right? You need more of a plan. You just jump in again, no cover, and like your bubble is just instantly destroyed, right? Like if you jump in main, no cover, your bubble like it's only like 650 HP or something like that, right? So like it's just instantly get destroyed and force out prime. I'm like honestly not that great in this situation. They have all their cooldowns again, so I guess at the very least you force out B. Once you force out B, you should just be getting out, or playing your cover, I should say. Again, ignore this guy. Don't go for him. You see, by turning your attention to him, he's like sorry. Let me when you're turning for this Doom, you let the rest of the team take as many angles as they want to like free farm your backline, right? Like if instead of turning for the Doom, you're occupying at least one of these people, it forces them to not be able to like take any angle they want and just free farm your backline, right? Like you have to do these things on the Winston instead of turning for the Doom, because you'll just never be able to do any amount of damage pressure at all.
No one can stop me. Touching down.
Swap Mauga. Since you swap Mauga, I don't know if your team was telling you to swap. I actually really don't like Mauga into their team comp. Like their Sojourn is just gonna free farm rail off of you. Mauga is probably literally the easiest tank in the game to farm rail off of, unless you play exceptionally well cover wise, right? Doom can ignore you pretty easily, especially on this map. And Lucio, Tracer, and Kiri are basically like impossible to ignite, right? But I mean, you can farm Doom a bit. If I were in your position, I think Diva would work well, or maybe even Zarya, right? I don't know if you played these tanks, but since you're willing to swap, those are tanks that would probably be pretty good in this situation, right? Just because Zarya actually denies Doomfist pretty well, and she can farm charge fairly easily against that comp, right? And Diva can deny a lot of their team's value, right? Like you could deny pretty much everything except the Doomfist, like punch and slam. But like he's gonna have a really hard time getting kills, right? And Diva's also really good at denying kills. He said, like I said, Mauga definitely can work, right? Don't do this, right? It seems like he's a really easy target for a slam, but he's already, one, he has speed, right? Two, right, he's already really close to cover, so he's baiting you into peeking his entire team, right? Like this is the same mistake you made on that spaceship on second attack, where you just peek like their entire team really early for no reason to get blown up for, right? And see, because you do that, like you just get blown up, right? So, yeah. Okay, so I guess in closing, again, you need to look at your cooldowns more. In particular, right? I went over this earlier. Your bubble usage, you could get a bit greedier with him sometimes, and not use them when you don't need to, right? Um, and because like when you do that, your uptime just goes down, like down the drain, right? You just lose your ability to hard engage at people when you don't have bubble. And again, like you need to stop jumping in the open, and you need, in general, stop jumping in the open, especially when you don't have bubble, right? You should always be looking to jump around natural cover, so when bubble goes down, you can at least play cover somewhere. But yeah, you jumping in with bubble without bubble is like an instant troll. Like you're just gonna get punished for it all the time, right? I mean, you saw in this game, you still got punished a ton, right? Secondly, right? What did I say? It's been so long. I can't believe I usually don't forget this stuff, right? Um, Oh yeah, sorry. You need to like conserve your HP and armor more, right? Because you're just taking a ton of unnecessary poke damage early on in these team fights and forcing out a ton of resources and attention from your team, and you're just also like denying yourself the ability to like consistently pressure the enemy team because you do this, right? You want to be taking as little damage as possible in these staging things, right? And pretty much like everyone's gonna outpoke you as Winston, right? Like if you have the opportunity to go for like a right click every now and then, it's okay. Try to like isolate someone that's or like zap someone with a right click that's overextended and like can actually get punished. But when you're just doing it in like these neutral situations, you're just getting outpoked, and you're either like forcing out your support to heal you a ton, right? So they can't like DPS or anything or like heal someone else. Um, and you're sometimes forcing out like your jump and bubble in these situations where you really do not want to be using them. And in particular, you don't even need to be using them in a lot of these situations, right? Yeah. So, and again, third, right? Do a little bit better of like keeping track of your team's numbers, and I'll add that like positioning is also sometimes like in particular your positioning relative to your team, like how deep you're going, is something you need to be more considered about in the future, right? I hope this helps.